Hello, Culture Matters podcast. We are back again with another culture content topic. Follow me, Jay Doran underscore the culture man on Instagram. Today, and the reason you should follow me on Instagram, Jay Doran underscore the culture man, are because we put out videos on leadership, business, culture consistently on different topics of importance that can help you with your business, with your employment, your goals. And today I want to elaborate on one of these topics, which is setting intentions. Like, why set intentions? What are intentions? How do you accomplish them? But first, the first thing I thought about when I got this topic in mind was actually what would be the definition of intentions. I want to look that up actually, and so I'm going to do that right now. What actually is the definition of intention? Intention defined, and the definition is a thing intended, an aim or plan. Intention, aim, purpose, intent, objective, object, goal, target. You think, yeah, end, design, plan, scheme, resolve. Intention. What is an intention? It's a determination, a wish, a desire, an ambition, an idea. And so, in the absence of an idea, or let's say a purpose, what do we have? We have the opposite of purpose. That can't be like an anti. That's anti-value. That's anti-values. Because right, because value is a consequence of values. Values are exchanged. Values are lived out. Values have a relationship with space and time, what we do with our bodies and what we don't do, how we occupy space and how we perceive time, how we perceive what ourselves moving through time, how we perceive our life's meaning, how we perceive our life's value, and that has to do with what we have now that we want to keep, what we have now we want to cast away, what we want. Like, can we even go through life without wanting, even if our want is not to want? No, I think we're wanting creatures, right? We're meaning seeking machines, we're meaning creating machines. So the thing about setting intention is to have that aim, to have that goal, right? What do I want? Why do I want it? How can I achieve it? And when we get to the how part, the how can I achieve it, I think that opens up the pathway for who do I need in my corner? Who do I need in my team? Who do I need in my advisory? Who do I need to capitalize this? Who do I need? And then, of course, it's even separate from like professional goals or like there's life goals. Like who's my life partner? Who are my friends? Who are my enemies? Who are my mentors? Or who's ahead of me in a different generation that I admire and I want to model their behavior? Who are my mentees? Right? Who reminds me of myself at their age or their level, and that I would like to give a hand up, not a hand out, and that I could, gain another degree of meaning and satisfaction and fulfillment from that relationship. You know, this idea of intentions, this idea of having a goal, an objective, or objectives within that goal, this idea that of having an aim, something that reaching out. I wrote this down. That lives between two worlds. And this is information that's in my, jumbling around in my head based on my research of a lot of the maps of meaning work, literature, uh, based on Peterson's working thesis. This maps of meaning, right? That there's what is and there's what could be. It's like our subjective participation in what could be is is reflected in what we think should be based on what we want, which has a relationship with what we don't want. So it's the goal is what could be. It's not yet real to right. We didn't create that widget yet or that outcome or that and then there's what is, there's what currently is, and there's what from what is, there's what we expect. And right, we live between the known and the unknown, right? And in that, in the in between of the known and the unknown is um, the roller coaster of emotions, or hope and anxiety. And how we navigate anxiety will increase meaning or decrease meaning, increase competence or decrease competence, increase our the speed and breadth, depth of climbing the socioeconomic hierarchy, but and the social hierarchy, all the hierarchies that exist in the world. And there's something exciting and meaningful and relational and necessary about the climb, right? That's the idea. He's bringing it down to this idea of personal responsibility, this ability to the ability to respond personally to the world, to what's out of our control, because we're out. It's beyond our omnipresence, because we're not in all places all at the same time. Beyond our omnipotence, it's beyond our control. It's beyond our um, omniscience. We don't know what's going to happen. We project. We infer. We speculate based on past experiences. And when things happen out of our expectation, that creates anxiety. But based on this goes back to setting intentions. Based on the intentions we've set, like that the intentions we've set has a relationship with how anxious or excited we will be relative, or how we work through the anxiety of the unknown when things don't go the way that we expect them to go. And there's things that we expect. There's many things that we take for granted below our awareness based on being human beings that will not go the way that we expect them to. And there's this necessity of things not going from a psychological purpose, meaning growth, fulfillment, significance, social development standpoint, a necessity of things not going our way, because we're a becoming, we're an evolution, we're a development, we're not a static finite thing, and species. And when we are, if we are, that's where we lose consciousness, we lose meaning, we lose ourselves, we lose that. Really, it's like we become just part of a blob, or like an unthinking, unfeeling, apathetic thing. And like setting intentions is a huge part of gaining the feeling of control, or the psychologism of control, but stepping into our ability to respond to conflicts outside of our awareness, outside of our response, our ability to respond to nature. Right? It's so, I wrote this down, have the goal of what you yeah, what you want to what could be. And you believe is what should be. So the should is like, I'm adding this subjective meaning to what I want. How I behave in relation to what I say and think I want will have a relationship with how I value myself, and how I value myself will have a relationship with what I do and don't do, which others are watching and participating in my becoming, which will lead to my reputation and pull me up the hierarchy of social value, or push me down the hierarchy of social value, which has a relationship with economic value. Uh, uh, so doing, right. So there's things that, like, so yeah, we live between what is and what could be. There are things in the what is, what right now is a exemplary in our life of the things we have, and the titles we own, and the authority we have based on what we do, how where people are of what we do it, how what we do serves society, how what we do serves ourselves and those closest, our culture, our community. So there's things we're doing that we would want to stop. There's things we're doing we want to continue. There's things we're not doing that we'd want to start. and then because we're not doing that, we'd want to say no to. So like when you're going to talk about setting intentions, maybe that could be a tactical takeaway from this ideation here is like, there's more I want to say, but I'll say it in another episode. I'm just gonna when we're thinking about setting an intention, yeah, there's like where are where are we going? You know, where do we want to go? In the absence of thinking through and speaking through and writing through and dialoguing through with others, where we want to go. It's like Schopenhauer. We can do what we want. We can't want what we want. There's that inner calling. There's that inner destiny that's happening. But like we're getting pulled and like almost like being caught in a wake, pulled and swayed in all ups and downs and left and right. And that's gonna the world is gonna have us in its wake. It's pushing. But are we drowning? Are we not drowning, barely drowning, but enough where we can kind of breathe and we just stay alive? That's like a life full of anxiety and fear and tragedy, unreconciled tragedy, unreconcilable tragedy. And when that happens, we're more likely to fall into ideology, which is this pseudo religious experience in the sense of losing ourself, losing our destiny, losing our aim, losing our, and that subjective relationship we have to our goals, to our aims, to our vision. The absence of that undermines our ability to function in the society, to function as individuals, as participants in a family, as patriarchs or matriarchs of our downline, of participants in our businesses, employed or employer, as citizens of our communities, and you just keep going, right? Outward and outward and outward and outward as human beings on a very deep level. Setting intentions is a part of being a person and becoming your destiny and avoiding ideology or avoiding these macro phenomenon that can take over us, almost like a demonic embodiment of our potential, and that leads to suffering, that leads to killing, and not even things as extreme as that, but just like apathy towards that. Um, I think just all the negative emotions or the deconstructing emotions that could be valuable feedback loops for the good ones, like guilt could be a precondition to conscience, to unlearning, to learning anew. Shame could be fuel to strive and thrive. Like all those negative emotions are necessary. They have a relationship. I think actually this is a course I was taking, Frick, in the personality course, lecture one in Pearson. Yeah, that idea of and I thought about this years ago. I put in 30 days of thought that, but it was that negative emotion, like so, which has a relationship with adversity or like suffering in respect to what is and what could be, the things unknown to us happening, anxiety coming about, negative experiences impacting us, has a relationship with entropy, so the more negative that emotions and more negative things that have occurred, I've said this for years, it's like pulling back the bow all the way back. You need negative, and then you have that aim at the target, and then you're letting go of the bows, the courage. It's like moving forward into that intention, that aim, that plan. But you need to pull the bow back. So -60 to +1 is more powerful than -10 to +1. Because the negative, you got to take that into account. There's something about the farther that bow is pulled back, the more power that bow has. You may not be able to see it. It's like an iceberg. And so setting intentions is not, yeah, it's about having a goal and an aim, and it's about getting clear on what you're doing that you should stop, what you're doing that you should continue, what you're not doing that you should start, what you're not doing that you should say no to. And all of that has a relationship with who's in your life, which, right, friends, enemies, mentors, mentees, family, which can fall into any of those categories. How you burden the conflicts that are inevitable, interpersonal conflicts, inevitable, like, yeah, interpersonal conflicts that are inevitable as a reflection of, let's say, the internal conflict of each individual within that group or grouping of your life. Because we're all in our own hero's journey, battling the external conflicts, the things out of our control, or really ability to respond, and psychological belief of control that has a relationship with our self-awareness and how closely aligned we are with our destiny, with our which you know we don't know what our destiny is necessarily. We act out our destiny on a spectrum, right? We all maybe we all have a calling, and we don't necessarily have to live our calling in our life. We could die having never lived our calling. I could keep going, but follow me, Jay Doran _ the culture man on Instagram for more culture content. This is like a good segue to many other episodes. Setting intentions, I'm talking about today. Why is setting intention important? Well, for purpose, for meaning, for greater responsibility. Of course, like power, like economic power and so on. What is it? What do you want and why? What does it look like? Who's coming? What do you have to give up? What do you have to stop? What do you need to do? What do you need to learn? I need to talk about learning it all. And how can that have impact on your life? And maybe it is your life. And it's important, even if you realize it, if you never realize it is, like the most successful people you admire are just living embodiments of everything that we're talking about today. So follow me on Instagram, Jay Doran _ the culture man. Please leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast, and we will see you next time. If you notice on the show, I'm always saying we will see you next time, or I will see you next time. And I speak, and sometimes I say we, and sometimes I say I. Very psychologically interesting.